Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wrestling Conversation. And on this conversation, we'll be looking at the best moves and finishers in professional wrestling. And as usual, our panel of guests, Jack Lord, Rodney West, welcome to the Wrestling Conversation and the best moves, the best finishers in professional wrestling. And Jack, I think we should just start it out with you. We'll start who, and even who. We can even talk about who did these great moves and finishers.
Okay. Right off the top, of course, my favorite, and I think everyone can agree on this, was the magnificent knee lift by Mr. Wrestling #2, which I was honored to have received on several occasions, and he liked me, so I lived through it.
There is no doubt Wrestling 2 and the setup to the knee lift was even better than the knee lift itself. The putting the two hands over the two and then doing the little dance he did and then the knee lift, it just made the whole. And I'm gonna tell you, when Wrestling 2 gave you the knee lift, you knew you received it because he was gonna make sure it looked good. Am I correct, Rodney?
Yeah, you're right about that. He's awesome.
Wrestling
awesome. And the way again of the way he would sell was his own. Nobody does it. Nobody did it like he did. He could convey pain from people sitting way up in the cheap seats. Could see it, and so yeah, he was awesome.
You know, absolutely. And while we're talking about the knee lift, other people have done the knee lift in their time. And the only person I thought came close to a good knee lift was Jake Roberts.
Yes.
Did a great knee lift, but a lot of people just didn't know how to connect with that thing. But Jake Roberts did a great job. So we'll have to put Jake Roberts in there as doing a good knee lift as well. Rodney, somebody that great moves, great finishers in professional wrestling.
Well, you know, I've always talked about Bearcat Brown and that famous leg drop on the leg move. One of my favorites. Charlie Cook used to do it, but it was always to me Bearcat Brown's deal. If he only grabbed the leg, in fact, I was looking for a video to see if he would do it in that match, and lo and behold, he did it. And it was the best part for me. But yeah, the big gigantic leg drop.
For those people who don't know what that is, Rodney, explain to the people what this move consists of.
The way he would set it up, he'd normally grab a leg. Then he would grab the leg, and of course, your head would be on the opposite side of him. So he would basically take 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, pulling you on the other side, bring your leg up over to your head. And then he would do he would jump and then do a leg drop on your leg. And it was awesome. And then somebody they would try to stop him. So they'd come in, he'd grab the leg and he'd do them the same way. It was awesome. I love Bearcat Brown, the leg drop.
All right, I've got to say we've talked Wrestling 2, we've talked Bearcat Brown. Okay, I have to say Dusty Rhodes and the Bionic Elbow.
Absolutely.
You know, that has to be, because boy, he was another person that when he would deliver that elbow, it was just done perfectly. Am I right, Jack?
Again, it was like Wrestling 2. The setup was every bit as important as the move itself. I mean, honestly, with 2 and with Dusty, the move following that could have been anything. But that setup, you knew what was coming. You got the people ready for it. And then when you hit it with them, you know, it was great. It was great.
We had
the one where Dusty would do the punch. Boom, boom, do the punch. And then he would spin it up together and get a double punch. Fantastic.
Dusty had a lot of things that he did that was this great moves, but the Bionic Elbow, I have to think, has to go up there as one of the top. All right, Jack, next in line here.
Spinning toe hold, made popular by both the Funks. Both were very proficient in that and very well known for using that. And it's a move you don't ever see anymore. which is a shame because it was could be legit. Worked on that ankle. I always thought Kurt Angle should have used that for a setup for that toe hold deal that he did. There's no doubt. You're right. Nobody uses that anymore in professional wrestling. That was a great hold. Rodney, your next person.
Ken Lucas. We never talk about Ken Lucas on here. We haven't talked about him ever, I don't think. But Ken Lucas grabbing that headlock and doing that rapid fire punching. I always loved that. Then he would come out, one of my favorite things. And the next thing he would do is he'd take these knuckles and he'd grab a hold of the nose like that. He'd lead the guy all the way around. I love that. Of course, he was one of those masters of the sleeper hold as well.
Talking about the sleeper hold, you got to put the sleeper hold in there. And really, the first guy that I really remember really using it at big time was really Mr. Wrestling used it. But Bullet Bob Armstrong, I believe, perfected the sleeper hold. Don't y'all think so?
I think so, too. Johnny Weaver, wasn't that one of his big moves, too?
Yeah, that was one of his big deals, too.
I mean, a lot of people use the sleeper hold. So, I mean, you got to really put that a whole group of people, because Ken Lucas used to take fans in the ring and put them to sleep in the ring. And so you got to put Ken Lucas in there. And a lot of wrestling fans probably may not know who Ken Lucas is, but Ken Lucas was a tremendous wrestler.
Yeah.
Tremendous wrestler. I've got to put.
In fact, if you watch Ricky Morton, you will see a lot of Ken Lucas in there. I mean, a lot of Ken Lucas in there.
All right, we got to put the Lariat by Stan Hansen.
On my list.
Stan Hansen's Lariat. We watched him give the Lariat to Buck Brannigan one time, knocked his mask right off his head. I mean, it just went up in the air, came down next to him. Oh, poor old Buck Brannigan. But when Stan Hansen delivered a Lariat, that was an amazing feat. All right, Jack.
Let's see. Probably one of the most devastating looking maneuvers that I remember when I saw it thinking, boy, I don't know if I want to take that, was the DDT from Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes.
Now it's just a part of a match, but the way he used it and applied it and nobody else was using it, that you knew a guy was beat. And again, he had that whole setup that he went into with the short arm clothesline and then, go into the DDT, work the crowd, then do it. Magnificent stuff. Just really awesome.
The DDT, he says that he invented that, but then I think he might have seen that hold used in the early 1970s by some Mexican wrestler.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But he did perfect it, and he did it better than anyone else.
And he respected it.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, all the rest that's done it as a high spot don't respect the hold.
No,
right. Use the hold. It's kind of like overdoing the pile driver. You shouldn't do it. It's just one of those moves that it shouldn't be done. And of course, Jake was an innovator when it comes to wrestling as well. He really was.
All right, Rodney. Next person on your list.
Tojo Yamamoto and his judo chops and the scratch down the back and in the front and the wooden shoes. I love the wooden shoes. In fact, we're going to cover that a little bit later on, I think. And the wooden shoes, like I said, even Bobby Eaton would do the sneak up behind the people and do the Tojo Yamamoto scratch down the back. It was awesome. And Tojo, always good. Always good. And the thing about it, Tojo could sell. When he sold, when it was time for him to make that comeback, it was only a few chops. Chop, chop, chop. And then the guys that he was working with knew what they had to do. And if Tojo get to the corner, he's got the shoe. It's all over. He would just beat the shoe.
Yes, he would. Old Tojo. There wasn't nothing better than Tojo. Okay, we got to talk about the figure four leg lock. Ric Flair, number one best guy that ever did the figure four leg lock of anybody. He knew how to do it. He knew how to set it up. He'd do the suplex, into the figure four leg lock. I thought that was great.
Yep.
How about you?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. You know, and all these moves that we're talking about, a lot of them you still see today, but they don't mean anything. And the reason they don't mean anything is because they don't take the time to set those moves up like they're supposed to mean something. They're just a transition move from one move to the next. But you know, guys like Flair, too, all those guys, you know, they make those moves mean something by setting it up, by getting the crowd anticipation built, and then they would do it. Yep. So yeah, it was a great move.
All right, Jack, next person on your list.
My hero, the mass superstar with the Cobra clutch. Oh my goodness, I loved him, and you knew that, you know, he would, once he locked it in. And what was so fun about him going into it was he would, you know, guys could get out of it as long as you got out of it before he locked it in place.
Yeah.
You know, that was his whole thing. And that storytelling with that and leading up to it, but you knew once he got it on there, no matter how hard they fought, they wasn't coming out of it.
Sergeant Slaughter is another one that did that hold very well. Hercules Hernandez, not so much.
Kind of sloppy. He did a sloppy Cobra hold.
Also, I think Mongolian Stomper had that. It was called the Shirinomaki, right?
That's the I think that's what it's called in Japan. So,
all right, Rodney, next person on your list.
I'm going to put Tommy Rich because he did something that's unique that nobody does. He did that where the guys are down on the canvas on the mat, and he would do the driving fist while he was in. He would do it repeatedly, and I never really saw. Jerry Lawler did it kind of, but not to the degree of Tommy Rich, and I think that was unique to him. And like I said, I never did see anybody else do it to that perfection like Tommy Rich did.
All right, now we got to talk about. I don't think we've talked about this. The pile driver, and the best person I ever saw do the pile driver was Bruiser Bob Sweetan. I didn't particularly care for his wrestling style, but the man could deliver a pile driver unbelievable and make you think he killed the guy. Jack, you remember
Oh yeah, I saw him live in Columbus, Georgia, and the pile driver was my finish for many years, and I patterned myself after the way he did it, because it, you know, to the guy getting it, that's receiving it, you know, there's very little danger of ever getting hurt, but man, it looked devastating, and again, it's all about the presentation.
He would jump up and hit that pile. He didn't just fall back. He would jump up. Big old man would jump up in the air and then do the pile driver. He made it look so devastating. Wild Bill Longson, I believe, is who invented the pile driver.
Yep.
I think he used it first before anyone else did. And Professor, I think that was what the 1940s?
I believe so. Yep.
You know, can you imagine back then when he hit somebody with a pile driver, and that time they probably started a riot back then. That's great. All right, Jack. No, I think it's Jack's time, man. Go ahead.
Let's see. The most flashiest finished move I believe I'd ever seen at that point was Randy Savage's top rope elbow drop.
Oh, yes.
You know, the style of which he would come up and, you know, work the crowd and go into it. It was not only engaging, but it was also devastating looking. And, you know, I can't believe that he was still able to walk in his later years, because that's hard on your body taking that every night. But, oh, yeah, I love that move.
Yeah, that was an impressive move. All right, Rodney, the next person on your list.
Ole and Gene Anderson, the body slam on the arm. No one else did it, and it was, like I said, very unique to them and to their style. Wearing that one arm down, wearing the arm down, one body part down, and weakening it, and then finally doing the leg drop, normally the knee off the top rope and into the arm bar. It was tremendous.
And I got to put the Spuller and the Claw.
Yeah.
I think he was the one that made that thing. I mean, you know, he was scary enough, but when he hit that claw, That was a tremendous thing, and he made you believe he was killing the guy with that claw. There ain't no doubt about it. Jack, one more, and then we'll get to the insiders.
Jack Briscoe's abdominal stretch.
Yes,
I used to love seeing him put that on. A lot of wrestlers use that hold, and it was some would call it a rest hold, but if you were really working that thing, you didn't have time to rest because you were both going at it the whole time. I love that hold though.
All right, Rodney, one more last one, and we'll get to the insiders.
The heart punch. Oxbaker,
yeah.
Stan the Man, Stasiak, the heart punch. That was one of the big ones. Caused a riot, the heart punch did against Ernie Ladd. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. It's awesome.
All right, folks, if you're watching us right now and you're watching on YouTube, give us that big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and let us know that what we're doing you're enjoying. And if you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and share. Guys, you ready to go? See what the insiders got to say?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Let's see what everybody's Kevin Penley, we get everything for being early. We get anything for being early.
You get to see me enjoy a good cigar.
There you go. I was trying to think of something. I know. Lance Gardner, what's up, fellows? We're talking about great moves in professional wrestling and finishers, and we've already went through a couple of those. So if you've got anybody, let us know. Let us know on the comments of who is Jeremy Travis. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to you. Dr. Phil Grice. Hello, professors. I'm ready for the lesson tonight. Michael Halton is with us. Cheers to all. Stuart Kemp. The pile driver was devastating and should be a finisher and stay that way. Today, they're using them as a hot spot most of the time. So
that is correct.
No finisher anymore. Stephen Upstrack Jr. said, how about Harley Race in the pile driver?
Yeah. Oh, the suplex. Yeah, Harley Race was great with the suplex.
Kevin said, I remember when the suplex was a devastating move.
Yes.
And today, do they even do a suplex anymore? I mean, is it really done the way it's really a snap suplex?
Sometimes they do it. I saw I can't remember who it was now, but on Raw the other night, somebody did a standing suplex, held the guy up for a few seconds, and before coming down with him. So it's still used.
Robert Wallace, Les Thornton had some best moves. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
1,001 moves, I believe, is what they said. I think he was the person had 1,001 moves. Mil Mascaras had 1,001 mask. It always was the one that made the difference. It was always that one that made the difference. Lance Gardner says Harley Race's headbutting off top rope.
Yeah.
But Harley told somebody, and I can't remember who it was. Who's the other guy? It would have been the WWF guy that did the top rope thing. Chris Benoit told him not to do that. Told him not to do that. That was that would mess him up really bad. Lonnie Jordan said Ric Flair, best ever. Don't care what y'all say. Is that what he said? Y'all so? Yeah, Ric Flair. Ric Flair is one of the best. Kenneth Smith, what's up, guys? How you doing? Doing great. Chief Inspector Clouseau, Mr. Wrestling 2 had the best finisher. I think the Superstars Cobra hold was a close second. Lonnie, woo! Michael Halton, as a kid, and the X put over the screen, Blackjack Mulligan's claw hold looked brutal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, he did a good job with the claw as well. Kevin Bentley said, Rodney, remember when everyone thought Bearcat had a steel plate in his head?
I remember that.
Chaplain Freddie Rooster Roper. Rooster is in the house from Ball Ground, Georgia. Hi, everyone. Best show going today. Nothing better than old school wrestling. Thank you so much. Lonnie Jordan said Greg Valentine's elbow drop. I'll go with that. Lance Gardner, Jake Roberts, DDT, best I ever seen.
Exactly.
Jeremy Travis, finishers are really missing in wrestling. Now these guys do 3 or 4 flips off the top rope, land on the table that is covered in thumbtacks and on fire, and yet they somehow kick out at 2.
Yeah.
You ain't wrong, Jeremy. You ain't wrong.
Steven said the headbutt was awesome too, but I just love the way he would grind the pile driver on the opposition. Yes. Glenn Alan Shelton said innovator. I think he's probably talking about Jake the Snake Roberts. Kevin Finley, finishers then today are just ordinary moves.
Yep.
Shane Hall said fuller leg lock.
Yeah.
Very, very good move. Very impressive move. Unless you're Master G trying to put it on, not too impressive.
Don't do his version.
Johnny Weaver did have the sleeper hold.
Yes.
Yep.
Colton Martin said a diamond cutter has always been a favorite, and of course the stunner. And I think the Blue Thunder Bomb should be a finisher. Blue Thunder Bomb. Okay, explain this. What is a Blue Thunder Bomb?
Gosh, I've heard it. I know. I can't think what it is right offhand, though. Now, the diamond cutter, I actually saw footage from some matches back in the 50s where I don't remember the wrestlers' names, but one guy put a diamond cutter on the other guy and won the match with it. So it wasn't an original move, but I love Diamond Dallas Page's version much more than Randy Orton's. And Randy Orton's looks good, but DDP did it best.
I think Randy Orton's it's called the RKO or something, whatever. And Steve Austin stunner, spectacular. Kevin Steen or Kevin, what's the guy's name? His name
Kevin Owens. Kevin
Owens. He shouldn't be doing this.
Well, actually, he went to they brought that up to him to use as a finisher, and he went to Stone Cold and asked permission.
Oh, okay.
So
that's right.
I can live with that.
All right, if he got his permission, then I'm all right. Pat O'Connor, seen him do it. Seen him. Hey, Glenn, let us. What he's talking about? I've lost what we're talking about. Jake Roberts, DDT, Adam Pennison, yes. Lorden Jones and Paul Jones spinning toe hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also did the Indian Deathlock too.
Yeah.
Not done any longer anymore as well.
Yeah.
It takes too long for anybody to get into.
Yeah, somebody would have to sail to make that work.
That was correct.
Stuart Kemp said, if one did a figure 4 or step over toad hold, it was over, like the sleeper and pile driver. If applied legit, it was very dangerous.
Yep.
The Road Warriors Doomsday device.
Yep.
Yes, that was a devastating hold. I wouldn't have wanted to be the one that took that. Glenn Allen said more jumping beam than Matt wrestling.
Yeah.
Kevin said Lynn Rossi used the sleeper as well. Dennis Cook, good evening from Pennsylvania, Hills and Faces. Sorry I've missed the last few programs. Been spending time with the family. Jack, didn't Don Green use the spinning toe hold at some point?
I believe he did.
Chaplain Freddie Roster Roper said, I love the Mass Superstars Cobra Clutch. I think it was called the Cobra Hold, wasn't it?
No, Cobra Clutch. Well, may have been the Cobra Hold. He just called it the Cobra.
I think Sergeant Slaughter's the one that called it the Cobra Clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that's right. Bobby Roll, great show as always, guys. Thank you, Bobby. We appreciate it. Tim LaFontaine is with us. Good evening, men. Ready to enjoy. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Christopher Hughes with us. Good evening, Brent, Rodney, and Jack. Hope you guys are well tonight. My favorite finishing move was the Gourd Buster, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was well done, too.
Yeah.
Man, that was, and I remember the Brain Buster. Dick Murdoch was the first guy I ever saw do that. That was a great move.
Yep.
Now that's another move that could be very dangerous if not done well. I can tell you that. Lance Gardner said Ken Lucas was the man. Him and Dutch Mantel, whether feuding or tag teaming, was great.
Yeah.
Dutch Mantel, what was his What was his finishing maneuver?
Shoe baby.
He actually did a similar thing to what, or one time was doing a similar thing to what Arn was doing. He was calling it the MX, I do believe, in Mid-South. It was the forward slam. It was, a suplex and then fall forward, go forward.
Glenn Allen said best drop kick, Brett Armstrong by far. Best drop kick in wrestling.
Yep.
Worst drop kick in wrestling, Michael Hayes.
I got one of those at my belly button before from him. So.
he never could do a drop kick, I tell you. Adrian Harper Jr., the Iron Sheik's camel clutch.
Yep.
Good move. We just did a post on that where he uses the camel clutch to beat Bob Backlund for the WWF Heavyweight Championship. Well, I think when Arlen Skolin threw in the towel, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Good stuff back then. Very good stuff of getting the title.
Believable.
Yeah. Lonnie said, Johnny Weaver, master of sleeper. Paul Jones, master of stealing your beer ringside. Robert Wallace, Jimmy Snuka, Swandolph off the top rope, and Eddie Guerrero. Yes. Everybody's got to remember the top rope, the top of the cage. Jimmy Snuka coming off the top of the cage.
As a matter of fact, I have Don Morocco on my Facebook, and he shared that match today and his thoughts on that. And y'all to look that up and hear what he has to say about that match and just the magnitude of it. It's really something.
Stuart Kim said, yeah, it's old school, but the abdominal stretch. I don't even know if that's ever that move. Is that move used today?
I rarely ever. Now, if it's going to be used, it'll be used in NXT. That's the only place I've ever seen it used because they're the only ones that actually use wrestling halls anymore.
Tim said, what about Moxley's double arm DDT? I've not watched the show, so I don't know if I've said, Jack, have you seen this?
Yeah.
He's talking about the man superstar Wahoo's chops.
Yeah.
Alan Shelton.
Yeah, Ronnie Garvin's chops. I'll take those too, boy. I mean, I won't take them, but I like them. I put them on the list there.
I'll be honest, I got to rank the Bullets chops right in there with them now. I was glad I shaved my chest before every match with him because I would have been hairless anyway.
Most of the time Bob couldn't see, so when he gave you the chop, he really didn't know where it was coming from. So
he was always shocked when I'd call for a second one.
Ted DiBiase also did the figure four leg lock.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
And did a very good job.
He did a pretty good power slam at that as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was the setup to always to his. He did the power slam into the which almost all great moves have some kind of a setup to it. Kenneth Smith said Diamond Dallas Page's Diamond Cutter. Daniel Lang said Ricky Morton, Ken Lucas were 2-time Southwest Tag Team Champions. Yep. Great matches with the grapplers with Don Carson.
Yeah.
If you've not seen them, I think they are available on YouTube. Some good matches. If you've not seen those matches, then go watch Ricky Morton, Ken Lucas. You'll see where Ricky Morton picked up everything. He stole a lot of stuff from Ken Lucas. So, but Ken was the one that taught him how to sell, I believe. So, Christopher Hughes, the other DDT was awesome. Loved Jake. Worked a show with him in Live Oak, Florida with Jerry Gray. He was drunk. Nobody wanted to take the DDT that night. Don't blame him for that. Dr. Phil Above-Grassard, are there any impressive finishing moves among the female wrestlers? Jack? Well, Rodney, I don't know.
Well, currently Natalia does a great sharpshooter. She's one of the few that I can actually think of that actually has a set move today. And back in the day, most women didn't have set finishing moves that I remember.
Well, we know what Mike Jackson's finishing move was, so we'll get into that. Glenn Allen Shelton said, "Tell difference in old school was better. Well, old school was different. It was they meant for you to believe it. You were meant to believe it because most of the time the wrestlers believed it because they were beating the crap out of each other. So that's the reason it was.
Well, and you were engaging the crowd. I think that's what's missing from today is, they're just going out there and doing things. It's all pre-planned. They don't take the crowd into consideration, and when they lose the crowd, they don't, the wrestlers don't have an option. They have to keep doing what they've been told to do. Back in our day, if you were doing something and it wasn't working, you just stopped doing it and went to something else. But now you can't do that. So you don't have that crowd engagement anymore. I think that's one of the biggest differences between today and yesterday.
Yes, and we saw many wrestlers change it on a dime. And they've also even changed finishes in the ring because the whatever so-and-so wasn't getting it over. They said, okay, you're just going to beat me tonight because nobody cares. So we'll go ahead and just change that right in the middle of the ring. Tim said, devastating looking Vader's moonsault.
Yep.
For that big man to be able to do that was incredible. And he was a fast guy because he ran me down in one time in White, Georgia, ran me around the building one time. And he can run pretty quickly, by the way. pretty fast guy. I was a little bitty guy, and I was running from him, and he was keeping up with me pretty good. The going around some of the cars would slow him down, though. So the $1 Million Dream with Glenn Alan Shelton. That's right. He used that as his finishing maneuver in WWF, didn't he? Teddy DiBiase did.
Yeah.
Andre Buchanan, the original Lion Tamer by Chris Jericho, was deadly. Is that where he jumped on the second rope and did the thing off the flip?
That may be it. It's not the Walls Jericho. That's a Boston Crab.
I'm thinking maybe that was it. Andre, if you're still with us, let us know if that's the thing where
I think you're right.
Ropes and comes in and does the flip on top of the guy. Lonnie said Tommy Rich. Well, I'm thinking he says what a waste. I'm not sure that's what's a lot.
Luthez Press. There you go. Tommy Rich. Now we can move on.
Jeremy Travis said Bruiser Bob Sweet Dan and a great pile driver. I think Paul Orndorff had a yes, he did have a great pile driver.
He did
the pile driver. Glenn
now, my favorites is Terry Gordy. I enjoyed those. I mean, not myself personally, but I enjoyed watching him execute.
I took a few of those.
Theodore is with us. Turbo Ted is with us. Daniel Lang, he talked about Bruiser Bob was called Mr. Pile Driver.
Yeah.
Beautiful. He just did that so good. He's the first guy I ever saw do it. So maybe someone else did it. I just don't
honestly
remember.
In Georgia, the pile driver in most places was banned. So when he started using in Georgia, that was kind of the first time we'd seen it pretty much used in that manner.
Yeah.
Boston Crab by Pedro Morales.
Mm-hmm. Who is a guy that does not get the recognition he deserves either. Pedro was outstanding in the ring.
Richard Hood is just checking in with us. How you doing, Richard? Thank you so much for coming in. Jack will take care of your fine for coming in. We always have to keep up for Bill Watts, and we have to always find people when they're late because Bill Watts loved doing that. He actually bought a new house with all the fine money that he fined people with. Mike said hello, Jack Lord.
Oh gosh. Hey, Mike. Mike is the only guy I know that was too short to be a midget.
Christopher Hughes, the Spoiler was my favorite masked wrestler. Him and Kendo Nagasaki. I was legitimately scared of as a kid. Gary and Alan, great evening. Great show as always. Thank you so much. Kareem Macaulay said DDT.
Yeah.
I think we all.
The DDT was to the point where when we were in Mid-South, and we'll be covering that here in about 6 months or so. We're getting there. The DDT was actually so over in Mid-South that actually the high school teams were talking about DDTing their opponents. And we would see these banners all over Louisiana for the Friday night football teams.
Victor Nash said the Doomsday Device by the Road Warriors. Daniel Lang said Wilbur Snyder used the abdominal stretch as a finisher for decades. Yep. Christopher Hughes says Snuka's dive off the top rope, but when he dropped off the cage, it was
monumental.
Monumental. Thank you so much. I had a moment that I didn't even know what that word was.
It's too many letters.
Yes, too many letters for me on a Monday. Austin Idol's figure 4 leg lock, Las Vegas leg lock.
Yeah.
He didn't have much going for him, but he did have that going. I was never a fan of Austin. I thought Austin Idol was great as far as, when he did interviews and stuff, he was spectacular. But I've seen some of my worst matches in my lifetime was Austin Idol matches. So I can't, some horrible matches. Just bad. Baron Von Raschke and Austin Idol comes to mind. And
but Idol's charisma was off the charts.
Oh, it was.
He really was.
He was. There's no doubt. He drew a lot of money, and I loved his interviews. I thought, there was no better than Austin Idol on the mic, and he could build you to want you to buy a ticket to come see him, no doubt. Ron Simmons Power Slam.
Yep.
Yeah, he did a real good for that, no doubt. Richard here said Abdullah's, what's that say?
Sudanese meat cleaver.
All right, now what was that?
They called it the axe. They called it the axe in Australia. The butcher's axe.
So that's what they called it when he got the elbow, or?
I'm guessing that's what he's talking about.
Well,
that was his most.
His other most famous move was a fork. So
that's right.
He did a lot of chopping in the.
Some chopping. Hey, when he would slam those guys on TV, and then he would back up into that corner, and he would take that pause and make that step and do that elbow, and then he would just repeat it. Sometimes do a leg drop. And it was you were glad to see the 3 count. You felt sorry for those poor old guys.
Yep.
Timothy Tolliver said loved Killer Cox Brainbuster, and no one kicked out. Yes. Tim said Johnny Valentine and Dusty best elbows. Mickey Mayfield said Cyclone Negros jumping pile driver. I don't know if I've ever seen this.
I did. I had to see that. It was very good too. Very good.
I'm gonna have to go see that. I'm gonna if that's available on YouTube. I gotta go see that. I gotta see the jumping thing. Leonard Gross said I like my flying toe hold.
I don't think Leonard's recovered from the time he tried that.
J.J. Robertson said the Russian sickle. Gilbert. Well, if I hit on it. Gilbert Gonzalez says Ahmad Johnson's Pearl River Plunge. I don't know for sure I remember that.
I don't know. I remember Ahmad Johnson had the best match, or the best part of his matches was when it was over.
Mickey Mayfield said Ole's arm lock.
Yeah.
Richard Hood, the Von Erich's claw.
Yep.
Charles, there's a bug attacking me over here. Charles Bell Flower said the rowboat by the Torres brothers. Is that where they got the leg, the leg deal? Is that what that
was? Like it was to me. Yeah, that was pretty good.
No one ever does that anymore. What a great deal that used to be.
That's something that you do on the mats, and they don't do anything in the mat. They can only do it on the top rope. Now, if they could do it on the top rope, it would work. They would do it.
Pat O'Connor did the funk spinning toe hold, then spread legs. I'm not for sure. I'm not getting that.
I can envision that. He would, they'd spread your legs apart, 1 foot on one ankle, and then they'd
Come
push
out
you apart.
banana split.
I used to love to call that hold for somebody to put on me because I could almost do the splits, and the guys would be putting it on me, but they would be the ones hurting because they couldn't stretch as far as I could.
Dory Funk Jr., the spinning toe hold.
Yeah.
Ox Baker's heart punch. Alan Crawford said hello, Jack.
Hey, buddy.
Rita Cantrell watching us. Thank you so much, Rita. Lonnie said Terry Funk, one of the meanest men ever to step in the ring, and almost anything he did as moves. He was way before his time, Terry Funk was.
Yeah, way before.
The Spuller's Claw hold. And Glenn said that he agrees with Lonnie on that. Daniel Lang said Kevin Von Erich's body scissors while hanging in the air was an incredible move.
Yeah, it was.
Does anybody ever do the flying head scissors anymore?
Yeah, from one move into the next. It's just.
Yeah.
Tim said Mae Young's Bronco Buster. That's right. Jimmy Golden had a drop kick. Had a great drop kick.
He
did. Jim Brunzell. He said Daniel Lang said he had a great drop kick. Yeah. CM with us. How you doing, CM? You guys put a great show. Congrats. Keep it up. Thank you so much, CM, for those kind words. Tim said Crusher Blackwell had a great drop kick for a big guy.
Amazing drop kick for a guy his size.
Victor Nash said the belly to belly by Magnum TA. Yeah, he did do that very well.
Yep.
Anything y'all need to know about wrestling? Well, anything. We'll take anything from people. We'll pass it along. Let's see. Kevin Penley says George Goulas's chops were more dangerous than Wahoo's.
Well, you were ordered to sell them, so.
Richard Hood, the Spinebuster. Yes. Theodore said Bob Holly's Alabama Slammer. I'm not for sure if I remember that. Dusty Rhodes' Bionic Elbow. Jimmy Snuka's Flying Frog Splash Big Air. Two's Knee Lift. Buzz Sawyer's, Christopher Hughes, Buzz Sawyer's Power Slam.
Hey, Buzz had an awesome drop kick too. I remember the first one when he came back to Georgia, first drop kick he threw on television. Looked like he knocked that guy's head off. It was awesome.
Chief Inspector Clouseau said, don't forget about James Ellsworth's finisher, whatever it was.
He's going to be in Tennessee, I think, this weekend for anybody that doesn't want to go to Tennessee.
Barbara said every young wrestler should listen to y'all so they can learn the wrestling history. Well, thank you so much, Bobby. Lonnie said Fabulous Moolah.
Greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time. Oscar.
Yes.
Oscar Lock.
Pretty good.
Charlotte Flair's figure 8 leg lock.
I do like that.
Not for sure I saw that. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
The announcers had a believability factor not seen now that made you believe. Tim, you're right. What was Andre's Giant's finisher? Was the big did he do the big boot?
He did the leg and then he did the splash normally. Big foot to the face and then a splash. He did a similar bombs away too, if I'm not mistaken.
Jericho off the second rope, the line salt. Tully's jackknife. Terry Gordy's Asian spike. The Freebirds triple pile driver on tape.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Jerry said, "Hey fellas, we having Tommy Rich appreciation days."
Well, now back in his day, in his prime, there was nobody hotter or better than Tommy Rich was. He was extremely over.
Yes,
now,
he was.
Outside the ring in later years, we'll just talk about his great years.
Ron Starr did the pile driver. Tommy's Thez press from Jeremy Travis says the difference between wrestling today and yesterday is that back then wrestlers had to draw a crowd, and also they didn't. Also, if they didn't work, they didn't get paid. Now, since they are on guaranteed contracts and get paid even when hurt, they really don't care about the lack of crowd response. Jerry Foster said Idol was great. Lonnie Jordan, Rock and Roll Express, double drop kick. Now that was it did pretty good.
Yep.
Lonnie said Maniac Mark Lewin's chokehold. Jerry Foster, Harley Race's headbutts for the second turnbuckle. Lonnie said Abdullah the Butcher's nasty elbow drop.
Yeah.
Lonnie also said Nikita Koloff wasn't a Russian. And Ray Stevens bombed away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Condry's DDT wasn't too thrilled about that, but James Ellison said Ken Lucas's sleeper hold. Buddy Blandell's drop kick. Biggest daredevil of all time. I have to give Jeff. I'll have to give him that.
Yeah, I give him that.
And we'll end this with this. Stuart Kemp. I love watching some of the current matches. They still use the moves and holds, and they still mean a finish. All right, guys.
Lonnie was trying to start something. I can tell that.
Yes, he said Kevin Sullivan, the gangmaster. I can see that too. I think he was trying to start something on this Monday evening.
Notice we did not. Nobody mentioned anything about him except for Lonnie.
James said, "Do a tribute to the Field Brothers of Gold Coast Wrestling."
Yeah,
we're going to try to get Mike Norris back on. He knows all the stuff about. We've just had some problems getting guests on here because every time we get them on here, they fall off and they don't stay on, and we're working on that.
Technical difficulties.
So we've tried not to have too many guests on until we get this fixed. It doesn't do you any good if you can hardly hear the person. It goes in and out and in and out. So Kim Patera's swinging full Nelson. All right, guys. Anything we need to talk about, Jack, before we leave?
Well, I'd like to mention that Terry Gordy's, I believe it was Jamie Kyle, Terry Gordy's nephew, passed away. And Spider Boudreaux, who was real famous, he wrestled straight wrestling for several years, and then he was well known in the deathmatch circle for several years. He passed away. And also an update on Tracy Smothers. He is in the hospital now dealing with cancer issues again, and he's in pretty rough shape. So y'all remember him.
Rodney, anything we need to discuss before we leave?
I believe that'll do it for tonight.
All right, folks, thank you so much. Tomorrow night, we talk about World Championship Wrestling, Saturday, May 4th, 1985. So go and watch it. Go and watch it so you know what we're talking about. That's tomorrow, 7:30, World Championship Wrestling, as we look at that once again, and Dusty Rhodes' Gorilla. And that's all.
Nani, it's not everybody. It's just me.
Yeah, I like Kevin.
I have nothing against him as well. So, well, except for that little short time in Georgia, I'm wasn't real thrilled at him and Kevin the Steve Kerr match. Steve Kerr was great. Kevin Sullivan not so good. All right, folks, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of our episodes. We certainly do appreciate it. And once again, if you've not got over to YouTube, we've got the episodes that only play on YouTube. Coming up, we're going to have one on Ric Flair. So, and it will be on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Rodney. And thank you for being a part of our episodes. And we'll see you tomorrow. World Championship Wrestling. We'll discuss Saturday, May 4th, 1985.